with a bit of Stewie Griffin.
It's atrocious. Um,
It's not pretty.
no. So there has been a lot of stuff going on social media today regarding this leak, regarding the leak from last week. If you watched Nintendo at 90, our quick news show last Friday, no, Saturday, we kind of discarded this as being fake because it just looked incredible. Let me bring up the original picture here. This was what came out last week, and we made fun of it on Claster's Crass and Nintendo 90 because obviously this thing was terrible. But the recent pictures are scary, very scary, right, Sean?
Oh, yeah, I'm terrified.
So, a little bit more updates. So, we're going to digest all these pictures. We're going to dissect it. We're going to share with you guys everything we know about this. And yeah, we're going to have a discussion. Feel free to join us in the chat. Share your thoughts on what you think, rumor, real, whatever. But we've got three pictures that came out today. We've got this white one, this white NX controller that came out last week. And we've got a few other things to talk about. So, for those who haven't seen it yet, I don't know where you've been. But, so this is the first one. So this new NX controller has a very nice little sticker at the bottom, black screen. We're going to dissect this all real quick soon. This is the first one. Second picture, again, different angle. Um, and the third one, which is the third picture, is just again the same device with a third angle. So Sean, I'm going to let you take it from here. You brought these pictures to my attention. You saw them first. When you saw them, what's your opinion on all this? Because you said in front of everybody that if this controller was real, you would eat your hat.
Yes, I did. So that's actually um, why I just recently bought a new hat that'll be coming in soon, just in case. All right, so let's just get down to the nitty gritty. First and foremost, even if this is 100% real picture, it is still simply a prototype, and there's still, that this is not definitive of what the final product will be. Um, as far as the design itself, I don't like it. I see some people saying something about that we didn't like the 3DS. I love the 3DS. I love the DS. You know why? Because they're comfortable to hold in my hands, and this does not look like a comfortable device. I think that the analog sticks are way too spread out. The lack of traditional buttons. We're assuming, based on what we've seen so far, that the buttons, it's basically like a touch screen, sort of like a mobile device. And this is, of course, we have to preface this by saying this is just assuming that this is the main controller for the NX. Now, of course, I have other theories that I'll get into in a little bit, about what else this could possibly be, but taking it at just what everyone's sort of thinking it is.
Hang on.
It
Before we get too far, I just want to stop something in the comments section. So people are saying it's fake, it's real, absolute. Honestly, we don't know at this point if it's fake or real. Yes, we have someone on Twitter who's actually what's his Twitter name? Liam Robertson claims that a friend of his at Nintendo of Europe claimed this was not that this is absolutely fake. But we are also hearing other sources from developers saying this is legit. So
right.
there's there's very fluffy sources. It's not like you're hearing it from the horse's mouth or anything, but we're hearing from both sides of the camp that this could be real, and if it is, it's a prototype. That's what everyone who says it's real it is. And then there's some that says it's fake. So by the end of this talk and this discussion, we're not going to be able to tell you if it's fake or not, but we're just exploring
Right. We're exploring
everything.
different options. We're giving you different theories. Now, in respect to Liam, I love Liam. I'll call him a friend of mine, and he's been right on a lot of things, and he's been wrong on some things. So, really, no one is in a position right now to say this is real or this is fake. It's just if it's real or if it's fake, what to expect from it. So, yeah, I mean, ergonomically, it doesn't look very comfortable, in my opinion. Jason, what do you think about it?
It's atrocious. It's scary to think that this could be a Nintendo product, given their long history of actually good design. They've designed amazing controllers, some of the best controllers over the last 20, 30 years, and I have no idea where this would even come from. Even as a prototype, you can see. I'm going to pull up a picture of the Wii U's gamepad prototype. Even that thing looked Where's my Wii U picture? This was this is a picture from, I think, prior to the Wii U reveal. This was a dev kit, what they looked like back then. Look at that. You can still see what kind of the gamepad became, and you can kind of understand what's going on here. You've got your analog sticks and your buttons and all that. Uh, but this new thing, this new device, has no buttons, which is the scariest thing of all because I can't. We're going to dive into that. What scares me the most about this is what we saw last week. It looked terrible. And you could pretty much claim that it was Photoshop. That's how bad it was. These new pictures today pretty much confirm that this piece of hardware exists. Now, we don't know if it's actually an NX device, if it's a 3D printed model, if it's even a Nintendo product, but these pictures pretty much confirm that this is a 3D physical device in our world, and that's already a scary thought there. We have, yeah.
And I guess yeah, and I guess we should also say, kind of what we've been able to dissect from the actual picture. This picture that you're seeing on the screen is coming from Sweden. That's a Swedish keyboard. Jason figured that out earlier, and then other people also were talking about that. So this is a Swedish company. There was actually an initial rumor that it was from an Ubisoft based company. That was in Sweden, kind of based on one of the reflections. However, that has now been confirmed to be incorrect because that the picture that was being referenced for that
So
studio.
I've got that up right now.
Okay, cool. Because I'm on a little delay. That studio has actually changed, and there actually is no trees in front of it anymore. As you can see, where it says the same tree. That actually on my way home, someone sent me an updated picture that shows that the studio was not like that anymore. So, is this a real piece of technology? I'm sure it is. Is it Nintendo related? You can't say. There's absolutely no Nintendo branding on it. The only thing that's on it is the confidential information, which is on a label maker, which anyone could pretty much do. So, I don't. That's just kind of what everyone knows so far. That's what we know, and that's pretty much what we're banking it on. So I guess we should actually talk about what we think it is then. I mean, I base it on, say it's a Nintendo product or something, base it on, because remember, we still don't know what the NX is, folks. Like, that, at the very end of the day, we don't know if it's a mobile device that is compatible with, the Wii U and the 3DS, or if it's, the hybrid system. You don't know what it is. So to automatically say this is the actual controller is just kind of silly because of one of two reasons. This is actually a good segue. I segued myself. I'm impressed. All right. So one point I would like to bring up is, if this is the actual controller design, let's say it is, this would eliminate any sort of backwards compatibility within reasonable, of any of the Wii U. Even though it is a giant touch screen, obviously this thing lacks, physical buttons. So it'll eliminate any sort of backwards compatibility, and will also severely impact any sort of eShop stuff.
All right, so
Go ahead.
I've got two ways to approach this. I can talk for a good amount of time about how this is not real, and I can also talk about how this could be real. So are we going to explore how this could be real?
I think, since I'm saying that it would make it very hard to make eShop stuff, we should first explore that it's not real. So let's say right now it's not real.
Well, my argument that it's not real is, why aren't we seeing pictures of this with the screen, with anything on the screen? And that's why I suspect that this is actually a 3D printed device, because the pictures of the patent that this is based on, I don't have the image with me, that's been available for about a year or so. Anybody with some 3D experience could have modeled this in a 3D program in about a day, and if they had access to a 3D printer, they could have printed this to have a blast on the internet by getting us to all talk about this. Now, some people will argue, well, no, what we saw last week actually did have something on the screen. I don't know about you guys, but when I look at this picture here where you see like a cave or something, it is ugly, and that is just really easy to Photoshop, in my opinion. So I'm not if I'm going to say this is not a Nintendo product, I be almost sure that this is still this is just a 3D printed piece of useless garbage that actually doesn't do anything. Um, and yeah, that's my main argument to debunk this as a rumor.
Yeah, I mean, because you also have to remember this. It's not like Nintendo couldn't figure out who's leaking these pictures as well if it was a legitimate thing, and pretty much bring the wrath of hell down upon that studio or individual. I honestly feel that right now in this stage of the game, NX development kits are not that readily available to any Tom, Dick, and Harry. So I can't imagine Nintendo just sending these out to any indie studio in the world, because you have to remember Ori and the Blind Forest developer, which is an accomplished developer who made one of the best indie games in recent memory, could not seem to be able to get any sort of NX development stuff. So, I mean, that's another thing. That's another thing you really have to factor in.
And also the whole confidentiality thing. That's another thing. Like we're still talking about debunking this as a rumor. The, that those labels, I've got them on all of my equipment. You can literally get a label maker for $30 Canadian, so that's like $1 American, and you can make these labels easily. If you actually zoom in on the front of this device, it actually says Unit 2, and then on the side it says, let's see if we can get a better angle on that. It says confidential property. Uh, if you're gonna, I can't see Nintendo doing that. Actually, in a video that Rerez put up, he mentioned that Nintendo would actually put something a little bit more permanent with a unique identifier, so that if anybody did take a picture of their device, they would be able to trace who it was.
Right. I mean, that just seems like a basic thing, because once again, there is no identification on this device that says Nintendo. I mean, realistically, you have what looks like a football shaped cell phone and two analog nubs, and someone says this is this is the NX controller, with no credence, with no backstory. It's just accept it. And so, of course, the media and everyone is going to accept it, because the thing that makes it so intriguing is that we're all so hungry for Nintendo NX information. So that makes people want it more, and
Right.
that makes people want information more.
For sure, Nintendo needs to come out and actually give us something, because it's like as a Nintendo Enthusiast.com, it's kind of getting annoying to report on all this rumor and just telling people this is a rumor, don't freak out. Oh, here's a debunk to that rumor. Like, instead of reporting news every day, we're reporting forum pictures, and then the next day a debunking forum picture. It's freaking annoying. I think though that
It really is.
I think there's more to talk about, though, if this is actually real. I mean, it's pretty easy to say this is fake because it's stupid and it looks ugly and nobody wants it. The fact that the entire internet, well, let's not say the entire internet, that so many people are in an uproar and that say this is ridiculous, makes me believe that there is no way that Nintendo would be so dumb to design something like this that everybody is clearly in an uproar over. Granted, they've done this before, but I mean, this isn't like the Wiimote where people are saying, "Oh, this has happened before with the Wiimote." The Wiimote had buttons. That's not a big difference from past controllers. This has no buttons. When you're looking at a TV screen, you're not looking at your hands. Like when you have your phone and you're playing games on your phone and you have your touchscreen, you're looking at the phone, you're looking at where your thumbs are aligned. There is no way that you could play anything precisely on this controller if your eyes are up on a big screen.
And you also have to remember how a majority of mobile games that require touchscreen controls are not based for precision. They're not based for let's say, lack of a better term, a real gaming experience, a home console gaming experience. It's designed just for something to sit. It's just designed for pick up and play, quick bursts and stuff. Simple taps, simple touches. You play a game like Street Fighter 2. I noticed Street Fighter 2 is available on my iPhone, and it's like $4. I downloaded it, and I was like, I am so much better in the arcade or on a real controller than I am with this. It's not precise enough. And what you would have to essentially do is you would have to essentially dumb down your controls to make these games work. And we all know Nintendo, they've been pretty open about, wanting to revisit with third parties. We've heard that third parties are wanting to possibly work back with Nintendo. Doing something so drastic, I'm not saying that it's necessarily a bad idea because we still don't know anything about it. But to do something so drastic, I don't think would help them. Because here's a good point. Here's a good point I would like to make. Who is this assuming that this is the NX controller? Who is this controller designed for? Who is the target market for this controller?
Okay.
Because it's not me and it's not you.
Right.
And it doesn't seem to be a vast majority of people playing on other consoles. So who exactly would it be for?
What if this is for the casual audience? And someone brought this up to me on Twitter, and they actually made a good point. Nintendo has a great controller with the Wii U gamepad and the Wii U Pro controller. If the NX is backwards compatible, which, let's face it, it probably will be considering not a lot of people dived into the Wii U, you've got two amazing controls right there. The Pro controller for anyone who wants the traditional feel of a controller, which is amazing, has an 80-hour battery life, 80-hour battery life. And then you have the Wii U gamepad, which has a unique control scheme that's all Nintendo-y. Look at us, we're different. What if this controller was just an added piece to bring their whole ecosystem together? Because we know that they're going to be releasing more apps on the mobile market, and right now none of their controllers really allows for that kind of gameplay on a TV. Like the Wii U gamepad is not really good to. It only has a 1 point. I don't know what you call that. The 1 point touch feedback. I don't have the right word, but on on any it's not haptic. Haptic feedback is when you actually get like some vibration back.
Oh yeah.
On your phone or tablet, you can actually push in 2 points on your screen, and it detects it. The Wii U gamepad can only detect 1 point of pressure. So this controller, let's say it is real, this could just be a way to fill in that void of how would you play mobile games on your TV through your NX, and then you would just use your other controllers anyway.
So that's another area that should really be explored, I think, in the discussion realm, and that's why we're here and we're the best. Because it could simply be an accessory. It could simply just be an added accessory, an option for developers to use, so that way you can program more simple games, and there could be a more traditional controller packed in, or there could be a traditional controller that's equivalent, like the Wii U Pro controller. So, I mean, even if this is technically the NX controller, Mr. Tuto, we were talking about this earlier. A lot of that, it was actually not taken in Sweden. We've already figured out that issue. It could simply be an accessory.
Exactly. And if it's just an accessory, then this is completely blowing everything out of proportion. Now, another interesting thing with these pictures, if you look at all of the... Okay, I'm going to scroll through. There's 4 pictures available on the internet as of this video. So look at this. All the pictures are always taken pretty much from the same angle, not really revealing what's behind, what's on the back side of this device, or what's on the top. You think that's intentional?
Yes. Because either this person is doing a clever hoax, or there's a reason why they're using that position. You have to remember, everything is very cold and calculated. Let's think back to the whole Rayman and Smash Brothers thing that was so legitimate that everyone and their mother believed it, and then it was like, oh no, I was just kidding, sorry. Like, to me, creating Rayman and Smash and making it believable to that extent is a hell of a lot more impressive than simply coming out with a controller, posting on Reddit and saying, oh, here's the controller, I'm a developer.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, just the people are always weighing in on the complexity of the design. Why would somebody go through, so much trouble? Really, if you analyze what you see right now, the main picture, is it really that complex? I mean, we have 2 analog sticks positioned pretty symmetrical, a little off center, it appears. You have a screen that has some sort of casing on it, and then you have essentially what could easily, I mean, that could be a black piece of glass. It could be a piece of glass spray painted black with 2 holes drilled in it to put the analog sticks, and the rest could be simply plastic. You plug in a simple headphone, you plug in some headphones into a headphone jack, and like, would it necessarily really take that much time to create? I don't think it would. So it is close to April Fool's.
It is, but it's not there yet. Now, another thing that's
Um,
interesting is this picture here, the one that was released last week. You can actually see controls around the nub. I'm putting up a picture now. So there's a B button at the bottom. There's a right arrow, an A button in there, I guess. Select. I don't even know what that is. And then there's a few more buttons around the left joystick. So this is scary because if this is what we're used to with phones and tablets, we all know that these controls are kind of the worst if it's just a touch-based control. But now it's possible that these are actual maybe buttons that are uh, designed that when you can actually get feedback that you can push the screen in on those points, and then the screen actually projects whatever you want. So if you want those buttons to be labeled A, B, X, Y, you can. If you want it to be circle, triangles, square, X, you can have that too. So I mean, there is, let's say it is real, and let's say that this is the main controller. There is some hope that if they do put a button inside this, like kind of behind the screen, so that you can project whatever you want on the screen, but you still get that button feedback, that's a little bit less scary.
Now, looking at this picture, compare this picture of the white model to what we saw with the black model. Correct me if I'm wrong, but looking at it, isn't the glass on this white model extended to the end of the controller, and on the black model it's not?
On the black model, you have no. Let's look at it.
It ends right after the analog sticks.
Uh, oh, I think you were looking at. So from one angle, the way that the light is hitting it, it looks like it
No,
ends.
it ends, but on the white handheld, it doesn't end.
Right. No, on the black one, it's one piece of glass throughout. You're probably seeing it come up now.
It, that doesn't end. It looks to me like it ends at the analog. At the analog closest to you, would that not?
Yeah, yeah, on this picture, for sure.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's
I
just a
see. I
light
see.
trick. Yeah. What I would
Okay.
let's say
And
I,
see, look, you can't even get consistency with the pictures because one looks like it ends and one looks like it doesn't.
I know.
And one is a white development unit and one is a black development unit. Folks, development units are all the same color.
Right. Now, if I was designing something like this, and I would be sure, put one whole piece of glass, make the whole thing touchscreen, but only put the image of the game or whatever in a square box in the middle so that you don't have the controls overlaid over like in the white controller picture. But use the touchscreen to create any button you want around the joysticks and make those actual buttons that you can press in. I think if that's the design that they're going for, if this is real, might have some potential. And you've also got these interesting. Let me see if I can get the picture that shows. If you look at the top, you can see that there's actually like a scrolling wheel. I can't really highlight it, but if you look above the left joystick here, you can see that there's a button sticking out, and I think that's kind of like a wheel, almost like on your mouse.
You know,
So,
they say the wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
all right,
That's
does
a Journey song.
I know the song.
Wheel in the sky keeps on turning. Gotta do a little entertainment here too.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Because I would like to bring up this point. Let's say that it does have it where like the buttons, like pop up underneath the screen or whatever. How much freaking money would that cost to develop? Is this a $600 system? I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine making a device, maybe not a controller, maybe just a portable section, but a device that you look at it. iPhones are not cheap. You know why iPhones are cheap? Because you get in a contract. If you have to actually buy an iPhone, it's like $1,000. And this it looks a hell of a lot more complex than an iPhone to me. So
Yeah,
if the controller is that, and you got to remember how many iPhones are sold. Millions of iPhones are sold.
right.
That controller right there, if you said this is a controller and there's buttons that come out from underneath it, that's got to be like what, $2,000?
Yes, yes, that's crazy. You're referring to the story that Go Nintendo ran called Morphable Touchscreen. That one, Morphable Touchscreen
Yes.
Company patents reference Nintendo Wii U. Yeah, so if you guys head over, it's also on NintendoEnthusiast.com, which is where you should be getting your news. You can
Feel
actually
free to sub to our channel here as well. Let's see a lot of new faces. Hi guys.
you can see that the touchscreen like kind of morphs and the buttons pop out. Like that would be crazy. Like people were saying the battery life just on this model would be ridiculous. If it did use this new morphable touchscreen, that would be ridiculous, and it would also go against Nintendo's philosophy that they always use readily available hardware and technology. That has been their philosophy pretty much for the last 40 years. That if you look at pretty much all of their consoles, they're always using not the best in grade technology available, but pretty much what's available and mass marketed already. I think the only exception to that was the GameCube. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I mean the GameCube, no, because the GameCube was up to snuff.
Right.
I mean,
Hang on before
call
you.
it.
Sorry, before you
Go
get into
go
that, there's
go ahead.
someone else. There's another rumor that came out today that needs to be debunked. I saw it come up in the chat. I don't have the picture of this, but there's a picture going around that looks like a router. There's a black one and a white one, and people are calling this the NX console. That's actually a picture that came out. Let's see if I can pull this up for you guys. That's a picture that came out before the Wii U was announced, and people were calling it "This is Project Cafe," and so that's debunked. Let me see if I can get this for you guys. Where did I put it?
Danielle, we did read Liam's post. Liam is a buddy of mine. I talk to him pretty regularly. We're kind of the whole point of this is to analyze both sides of the coin because we actually have some strong sources saying that it is a legit thing, and then you also have people like Liam saying that he talked with sources and that it's not a legit thing. So we're not saying one way or another that it's legit or it's not legit. We're just exploring both sides of the coin and both
Right.
options. This is just a discussion, just an analysis. You're not going to get a yes or no concrete answer because I don't want to eat my hat.
And also, our opinion, I think, is pretty unified between Sean and I that we're pretty scared of this design. It's very unconventional. It doesn't look comfortable. It has so many flaws, and it scares us as Nintendo enthusiasts because we're like, we're going to be out of a job. If that thing. So here's the picture
Yeah.
that I was referring to. Let's kill this right away. This has been going around social media today saying this is the NX console. This is not the NX console. I don't know what this is, but this came out in I think 2011 and people were calling it the Project Cafe unit. So if you guys see this on social media, you can kill it right now. There's actually an article, a really good article that explains that it's debunked. So ignore this picture. Don't be fooled by
Yeah,
it.
it's a 2011 thing, and a lot of people. You have to remember one important thing here that I think a lot of people in the chat have been mentioning. A lot of people are saying that this is hurting Nintendo with all of these leaks. I don't think it is because you have to remember in the past roughly 2 days, you've had Nintendo being talked about for both the Wii U production ending, which was actually debunked by Nintendo themselves, and now this crazy looking device. I'm kind of from the camp that, all publicity is good publicity. And since this isn't confirmed, you got to remember the whole gaming world is now talking about Nintendo, whether they love the controller, the alleged controller, or hate the alleged controller. Everyone is talking about it. So whenever Nintendo does showcase the NX, which they're saying, there's a strong rumor going around that it'll be before E3. Everyone's going to be on the edge of their seat. Everyone's going to be glued. I mean, this is one of the biggest unveilings in gaming history now, just because of all the We have 200 people in this chat right now.
I don't
Because
remember this kind of excitement before the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Am I remembering incorrectly?
no, I mean, you were there, we were there. I mean, yes, of course there was hype and there was buzz, but there wasn't the mystique because you knew what the PS4 was going to be. You knew what the Xbox One was going to be. It was going to be a successor, and I mean, really, when you put those systems side by side, in terms of visual, what they look like or whatever, it's pretty much just an upgrade. But this is a whole new world because you don't know if Nintendo's going to try to get the reins back and get back in the game or if they're just going to go off their own crazy beaten path.
But that's what's scary. So we've had a lot of discussions on our weekly podcast, Class vs. Crass, and we've discussed how this could be the year of Nintendo. This is where they can just take the whole gaming world by storm by having both the mobile casual audience reconnecting with hardcore audience through the NX if it was done right. And everything was getting set up for the perfect gaming environment and the perfect gaming company. And now this comes out, and it's just it's scary. You're pretty much like, Nintendo, what are you doing? You're pretty much asking to be killed. Like, this is scary shit right here. But it's also
Yeah,
very, I mean, if it is true, again, we don't know if it is. It's very different than when they unveiled the Wiimote, and it was Mr. Iwata who was actually showing it and saying, "This is our new controller." Um, Being scared of that is very different than being scared of a picture that just sprung up on the internet.
and another thing is that I would like to also mention is that we have to remember the new My Nintendo account is just went live in Japan, and look at those rewards. Okay, you have to assume that those rewards are also going to be compatible with some degree to the NX. So if I get a My Nintendo account and I buy an NX, I can only play Wii U and 3DS games on those respective systems, or can I download them onto my NX? Because the NX is, or the My Nintendo thing is a unified account for all of your stuff. Now, how far down that rabbit hole it goes, nobody knows. But it would seem silly to launch this new program in March, essentially, and it's coming very soon to North America and Europe as well, and then only really rely on things being applicable for the Wii U and the 3DS, which is, essentially what you're getting away from with the NX. So I just don't foresee them going in such a drastic route, because it just doesn't seem it's not lining up with their business philosophy. They've already said they want the NX to be reasonably priced, and the technology I'm looking at does not appear to be reasonably priced to me.
It basically looks like a naked Vita.
It looks like a naked Vita, but it looks like a naked Vita that's more advanced. You know what I'm saying? From not from a visual standpoint of what the system looks like, but from the standpoint of what technology allegedly is inside of it.
Right. And they also claim that the NX would be a step away from the Wii U era, which means they were trying to get, I interpret that as they're trying to get away from the gimmicky. This screams gimmicky to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you. I feel the NX does have to have some sort of gimmick, not necessarily a gimmick, but I mean, when you look at the PS4 controller, how it has that little swipe touch thing on it. I mean, unless they're just not going to go for backwards compatibility at all, then okay, I understand that, but that seems very silly, because obviously backwards compatibility is very important to a lot of people. You look at the backlash with the PS4, you look at the backlash with the Xbox One, to the point of where they're having to essentially emulate it so you can play your 360 games on the Xbox One, and how well that went over. People like backwards compatibility. So to alienate that market that Nintendo has embraced since the Wii and the DS, it seems a little strange to me.
For sure.
Looks like a bar of soap.
It looks like a lot of things. So we've pretty much hashed this out whichever way, whether you believe this is a rumor, whether you believe this is real. There's a lot. This is very fun to discuss, because while Nintendo's leaving us to dry, it gives us something to talk about. Any other comments? Do you feel we can wrap this up with this is what
Yeah,
if it's a rumor, this is what it is if it's real.
yeah, I think we could wrap it up. You want to go first, or?
Yeah, sure. So, again, as we've discussed, if you just joined us at the end, these pictures came up on the internet today. Some people are claiming that's an NX rumor. They are different than the white one that showed up. We're not seeing anything on the screen. The one with the white had a lot of. You could have photoshopped that image there. This could very much be a 3D model that someone printed out to fool us all. It could be, I don't know. It could be so many things until Nintendo. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to ask you. So there's no, because Nintendo's doing digital, basically Nintendo Directs at E3. How would they present the NX at E3? They don't have any conferences.
Ah, that's true. I guess. Well, I'm assuming that it'll be unveiled before E3, and then you'll be able to play it at E3.
I would assume so too. But do you think they would do a press conference to actually say this is the hardware? Or do you think they're going to handle it with a Nintendo Direct?
A Nintendo Direct.
You think that'd be powerful enough? Have you ever seen a
I
piece of
think
hardware unveiled?
new 3DS.
The new 3DS?
Yeah, the new 3DS was unveiled on
Okay.
a Direct.
Okay, that's fair. Wasn't as big. Um, yeah. So overall, I really hope this isn't real, guys. That's my opinion on this. It definitely looks like a real piece of technology in the world. I'm not convinced it's a piece of the. I'm not convinced it's a Nintendo piece of hardware. I'm not convinced it's the NX. We'll only know for sure in a few more months. Sean, what do you think?
All right. So if it's not real, pretty much what Jason said. It's an elaborate hoax. These things can easily be pulled off, and it's way too soon to just assume that this is the real thing. There's absolutely no Nintendo branding on it. We've seen a white variant and a black variant, and prototypes usually come in only one color.
Good point.
Also, prototypes usually don't resemble completely one-to-one patent designs. You also have to remember, if you want to go the patent route and say, well, yes, it does. There was a patent design that had two handles on it as well, which is not represented in any of these pictures. This has already been confirmed to be from Sweden, but it also is confirmed to not be Ubisoft because of the tree situation. That was later debunked because that studio no longer has those trees outside of their window, and that's pretty much what we know. Now, if this is real, it's interesting. That's probably the nicest thing I can say about it, because it doesn't look like it would be very comfortable. I can't imagine how it will perform. I can't imagine it being in Nintendo's vision for the future. Now, of course, none of us have held this in our hands. None of us know what this feels like, looks like, smells like even. So, it could be so geniusly designed that it works like a dream and no one will have a problem with it. I don't foresee that being the case, but you never know. At the end of the day, folks, you don't know if it's real or not. Nobody knows if it's real or not. I don't care who you are, unless you are working at Nintendo, you don't know if it's real.
Yeah.
So it's a rumor, man. It's discussion. Have fun. And don't sweat it too much. We'll know the truth soon enough. But it's fun to talk about what it could possibly be.
And worst case, if it is true, hopefully we can still use our Wii U Pro controller or gamepad with the NX.
Yep.
All right, so thanks guys for joining us. If you want more analysis discussions like this, or even open podcasts on anything Nintendo and getting your weekly dose of Nintendo news, be sure to subscribe to Nintendo Enthusiast. Every week we bring you the news on Nintendo and 90 on Saturdays, and then we dissect the news on Class vs. Crass every Sunday, and then we also do fun skits, which we need to go do tonight, on all stuff Nintendo. We'll see you guys next time. Yep.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we're doing a skit tonight.
I didn't bring those glasses home. Awesome.
Damn it. All right, so we'll see you guys later this week. Hope you have a good night. Take care.
What up? Later.